Alright, I'm kind of in a rush. I got to do a bunch of stuff around here. But I wanted to get back to you and answer this. And this is to Jaboww. Jobo. I don't know how to pronounce the name. Which one is first? Alright, I'll just see the ones where there's not, it's not responding to me, and then I'll go to my ones responding to you, and then the ones that are responding to me. Just for clarification's sake, you mean the councils didn't allow observers like the Orthodox Church, prelates, or various Protestant sects to have a large say in what came out of the council, not that they were allowed at the council. I think that's what you meant here, because the church went out of its way to nearly invite every Christian group or church, when speaking of the Orthodox, to attend. There could be some people they like to invite ecumenically. I know that in their big unity thing that was going on with the World Council of Churches, when they started that thing, there was in St. Mary Maggiore, one of the oldest churches in Rome. They had a Shinto priest there, Shinto shrine service there, and then they had animist African dancers from Mali and Chad and Kenya inside performing pagan rites. That's pretty quite shocking. And I think you're just viewing it as Vatican II. In Vatican II, they invited, to this day, I'll ask a Catholic priest, two different Catholic priests, and I'll get two different answers. But if you really look hard in the Catholic Catechism, Pope John Paul said, that Eastern Christians are the other lung of the Roman Catholic Church. Only those who were in line with the Pope, the Uniates, those that were brought back to Catholicism at sword point, like in Eastern Europe, or like the Melkites. There's some, the Maronites, which are an ancient form of Eastern Christianity that had always taken its orders from the Pope of Rome. Let me see your other two comments, see if I can breeze right through these and get done. Sorry to try to rush this, it's just kind of am in a rush and I want to answer this as clear as I can. Just for clarification's sake, you mean the councils didn't allow observers like Orthodox Church, prelates, and various Protestant sects to have a large say in what came out of the council, not that they were allowed at the council. I think that's what you meant here, because the church went out of its way to invite nearly every Christian group or the church, when speaking of the Orthodox, to attend. Well, they went to find non-Christian groups. That's the thing in some cases. And of course there's churches like the Episcopal Church of the United States that, do you know what they do? Giving the Eucharist to dogs, praising a man for divorcing his wife and 3 children to go live with another man, and he's still a bishop in good standing. Bishop Shelby Spong denies the resurrection of the virgin birth. and he's still he was, I don't know if he's alive anymore, but he, last time I checked, he was in good standing with the Episcopal Church of the United States of America. So yeah, I don't think they have a say in it. They don't have to say who the next pope is. I mean, it's the figurehead, the ancient, basically kind of like Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. So it's still kind of kicked to the side, and it's only through the World Council of Churches that there's actual real Orthodox bishops there. But there are many of us Orthodox who say as soon as they attend the World Council of Churches, they're no longer Orthodox and they're not bishops. Bishop is an office, not a title. As soon as a bishop slips into heresy, boom, all of his magical powers are gone. There's no, he's nothing. He's not even a Christian anymore. You pray with the pagan, you take part in a pagan ceremony and you're gone. It's not, oh my bad, and you go to confession. No, you come back as a laity and you spend years repenting. There was someone that said something and I had responded to it, and I don't think I think I responded to you, but I didn't mean to. Oh, I said this: Protestants are never Orthodox. But if you're asking, are certain Protestants Lutheran and because this was to the other guy, the DocDOoM dude, and I wound up responding to you on accident. Joboww, because he says, because DocDOoM1979 said, if all bishops are equal in Eastern Orthodox Church, how do they grow in faith? The answer is you don't. It's instead of saying it's an illogical stance, he says you don't. It's a illogical stance. Well, at least I can speak English. Honestly, Mother Roman Catholic Church would take you back. Just be a sedi vacantis, GK Justin, the unique halo of hatred that surrounds the Catholic Church and serves to identify it as the true Church of God, like her Divine Master, the Catholic Church, and serves to identify it as the true Church of God, like her Divine Master. The Catholic Church is and always will be the sign of contradiction for those who would be her enemies. Well, what about the Eastern Orthodox Church? We don't have any pope ruling over us, and we never had any armies enforce things. In fact, anytime an army came to enforce a dogma or a doctrine, it was always against orthodoxy, like Arianism, iconoclasm, iconoclastic, the iconoclasts with iconoclasm, destruction of images. These things waged for about 400 years in either direction, and why is it that we're the one church that's not unified by one head leader guy? Our only head leader is Christ. All the bishops are equal, and yet we believe the same thing. All Orthodox Christians believe the same thing everywhere at all times and always have. That's kind of a miracle, but Vatican II came along and tried to appeal to the Protestants to get, Protestants come back to the Catholic Church, and it actually wound up being devastating to the Roman Catholic Church. My response, and this was to joboww or joboww, or sorry that I can't pronounce your name. Protestants are never Orthodox. If you are asking certain Protestant equal Lutheran or Anglican in mystical communion along with certain Roman Catholics, I would say yes. But if it will and does inevitably come down to person, then I don't know. Is my answer. Saved v unsaved is a problem for Northern Ireland, and I fall on the side of let's just try not to rape our neighbors' children for a start. How about that? Oh, that was due to somebody dragging in again politics because of nationalism. So what I said about nationalism in the IRA. It looks like they had taken a comment down. So it looks like there's been a misunderstanding here. And say that the Protestants are the same as the Orthodox. I separate the two intentionally. Yes, you did. I don't know where you get the rape thing from. It could have been even on another channel when I was flipping back and forth. But my apologies. I was looking for clarification because it seemed you said Orthodox are not allowed at councils. Sure we are. The last council was in 787. No more councils. There's no emperor to call a council, so there will never be a council again. And no World Council of Churches, no Vatican calling things. I mean, Vatican's already way off into apostasy. When they were actually there and invited, Satan himself can invite you to a sex orgy. Just because the bishop goes doesn't mean it's okay. That's all I have to say about that. I'm not talking about salvation here. I'm sorry if there's a misunderstanding. No, actually, that's my bad. Please excuse me. Forgive me. That was my misunderstanding. I was actually responding to somebody else. I actually know who I was responding to, and I don't think they were on this page because I wind up having to bounce back and forth because I'm recording on a different thing, so I have to click over here and then I have to click back, and sometimes it puts me on a different page. So sometimes I respond poorly or respond incorrectly, that is. But I mean, I'll send you the video with the HR. XSC3. The thing about non-voting observers is that conspiracy theorists with the Sedevacantist variety claim that they had a real influence on the council's decisions and turned the church Protestant, or tried to. Now you may disagree on whether the council was good or bad, but I just wanted to point that out. Alright, XSC3, you've actually been a good comrade in arms against the Gnostics and the crazies. Correction, at 618, you said Vatican II had several clerics participate who disagreed with the Pope in various issues. Oh, I know they did. That's how you got the, even at Vatican I it happened. But they were all supposed to be under the Pope. Same was true of Vatican I. Oh, you mentioned that, Vatican I. That's how the traditionalist Catholics started. Some strongly dissented afterwards, becoming schismatics. Some of them didn't become schismatic, actually. There was a bishop in France who was not schismatic because he didn't do anything against the Catholic Church. He obeyed the rules of what was said by the Pope, but he didn't recognize it ex cathedra. But he wasn't put into schism, and it took a long time. They had to wait till he died to actually replace him. They actually couldn't kick him out of his cathedral. That's what a cathedral is, by the way, for anybody who doesn't know. A cathedral isn't just a big stone building or a big nice church. It's the church where the bishop presides. Claimed that they had real influence on the council's decisions and turned the church Protestant. Oh yeah, blah blah. I strongly dissent after they strongly dissented after they became schismatic, while others stayed and grumbled. Likewise, several non-Catholics were invited to the council as non-voting observers. Trent invited Protestants to the council, but they were either declined or left in the early sessions when it became clear that the demands were not being accepted. Exactly. And I want to read one last comment. Have you or would you ever attend a Tridentine Mass, Yusuf? They're not only allowed, but they encourage in the Catholic parishes where there are significant demand for them. But I would suggest avoiding the SSPX or schismatic chapels out there. You know what? I'd love to go to one, but I'd love to see what the Latin Mass was like before the Council of Trent, because they jacked it around at Trent. Probably something shockingly like Orthodoxy, but just in Latin. Yeah, let me apologize to the people who I wound up reacting to, and it wasn't you that I was trying to react to. But with Vladislav Turbanov, I think I cleared things up with him in the last video. And this dude, DocDOoM1979, the sign of contradiction, I said, just look at the answer I just gave. I mean, that should show you. I mean, how is it that bishops stretching from India to Russia, from Egypt to China, to Alaska, in Uganda, there's 9 different patriarchates. There's no head leader guy. I don't want to hear about the ecumenical patriarchate. The Greeks recognized somebody called the ecumenical patriarchate. That's just the Bishop of Constantinople, and he has no power. Why is it that we, since, I'll use 1 year dates, 1054, haven't changed one thing about our doctrine or dogma? And yet the Roman Catholic Church, and I'm not saying this against XSC3, great guy, but to Dr. Doom, you've changed everything, and at the whim and pleasure and what you thought would make you what the Catholic Church thought would make it popular among Protestants and win people back. The Orthodox Church doesn't need to win anybody back. We are who we are. If you believe in Orthodoxy, come to the Orthodox Church. If you don't believe it, do not come. In fact, stay away, because the Eucharist can kill you. Now, you guys have the doctrine, the manufactured doctrine of transubstantiation that that wasn't given by revelation. Thomas Aquinas figured it out using Aristotelian logic, pagan logic, and modern-day Catholics don't have any type of fear or reverence for the Eucharist, for what you call the host. But yet in an Orthodox church, you see people shake with dread before they take the Eucharist. How many times has a Tridentine Mass? That's one change in the liturgy. How drastic change was there in the liturgy since Vatican II? You have people dancing up there. You have women serving communion. Even the Catholics, like, things like the Vortex and Father Barron, they despise Vatican II. Actually, there's Roman Catholics out there that say Vatican II is a Freemason plot. And that all Jesuits should be immediately excommunicated. So, the only miracle church that never compromises is the Eastern Orthodox Church. No brag, just fact. No armies ever had to keep us in line. In fact, the majority of the time, the non-Christian world was against us. At one time, most of the bishops were Arians, and the faith survived. There was Athanasius contra Mundo. We survived under the Islamic Sultanate. We survived the Crusades that were launched against us. We survived being bribed by places like Florence and Naples to come back under papal authority. And we never compromised our beliefs.